York's classic rock, Q1043.
New York's classic rock Q104.3. Good morning. I'm looking at Neal Schon's face on Zoom. Good morning, Neal.
Hi,
Good morning.
Jim. How you doing? It's good to see you.
It's good to see you, and I see that you have a guitar with you.
Yep. This is one of my little babies here. I just did, a little TV and promoting the Heritage Guitar Auction, and this is, one that's exactly like this. It was a backup for mine. Is in that auction, and sometimes when you're doing these interviews, you like to have a guitar to hang on to.
Well, wow, that looks beautiful. You just held it up there. It looks really, really sharp. What kind of guitar is that?
This is a PRS custom 15-inch body, semi-hollow body. Been very, very tweaked throughout the years that I've known Paul. We did a lot of work on this guitar in woods and the size of it and how much, wood goes down the center of it in order for it not to feed back, but still sound like a semi-hollow body. And, it's just an experimental guitar that we messed with for years and finally got it right. It's very cool.
Well, you are auctioning 112 guitars.
Wow. That's a lot of guitar. How many does that leave you with if you auction off all of them?
Way too many.
How many guitars do you own?
Well, before the 112 went, I would say like close to 800. And we have Journey. We have a large warehouse up in north of San Francisco, and it's packed. It's so packed with guitars because I collect them constantly. It's just something I've been doing since I've been playing guitars, and some of them are very old, some of them are new, and I keep collecting them. And so now it's gotten to the point, if I didn't have my tech, who's excellent, Adam Day, numbering everything and putting it in a book so I know where to find it, I could never find what I'm looking for. So it's time to move some things out, and let some other people enjoy them. And I'm trying to whittle it down. Really, I have my go-to guitars, and out of everything, there's probably 20 guitars that I would go to if I'm recording. No matter what kind of sound I want to get. A lot of them are, custom-made instruments, short scale 12-string electrics, all kinds of stuff that I like using for recording. And so, I feel like it's time just to whittle it down, let some other people enjoy these amazing instruments that I had made and collected.
Well, Neal, some of these guitars are historic, actually, not just cool, they're historic. But before we get to that, how old were you when you started playing?
I was 10 when I started playing guitar.
And what was your first one?
My first guitar was a Stella acoustic guitar that my father bought me from Sears and Roebuck, and it was really terrible.
Did you actually have lessons, or are you self-taught?
I went for lessons just to learn how to tune the guitar and play. I believe the teacher taught me 3 chords. And then after that, I was a dropout, and I went back to my room and started listening to a lot of records, and I really, I really loved the blues and started listening to, a lot of B.B. King and Albert King, Muddy Waters, Junior Wells, and, everybody that came out of that era. And then shortly after that, it was the British invasion. And, it was Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck and Jimi Hendrix and Clapton. I'd been watching Clapton before the other bands even came about that I just mentioned. And he was doing John Mayall and Blues Breakers, and, I was following all that. So this electric blues that was coming out of Britain at the time really was what kind of, motivated me and pushed me to move in to playing more, improv type blues guitar. And
Did
that
B
led me, yeah,
did BB King ever introduce you to Lucille?
he sure did. I actually, the funny story is, I was getting known in the streets of San Francisco as the kid that kind of walks up and down the street on Broadway, and sitting in all these clubs. I had a very close friend that knew all the club owners, and so he would talk to the club owners. And even though I was very underage, they allowed me to come in and sit in, and then go out the back door, come in the back door, go out the back door, because they were bars. And Elvin Bishop was somebody that I was playing with all the time in San Francisco. And they used to have this guitar gun off like every Tuesday night. And my friend would come pick me up in the peninsula, bring me up there. And, all these guitar players would come in from all over the United States to play with Elvin. And I kept on winning the contest with Elvin. And so what I got to get at the end of, I don't know, about 3 weeks of playing and gunning off everybody and winning, Elvin said, well, I have a treat for you, and we're going to take you down to Fillmore West tonight, and you're going to meet BB King. We're going to go on stage with him.
Wow.
So, yeah, that was my first big show that I played at the old Fillmore West in San Francisco on Market Street. I met Bill Graham that night, as well as BB. And, we had a few words before we went on, and he was probably looking at me going, who is this little kid with a big afro,
Mhm. Well, well,
I looked out at the audience, he was on the far right side and I was on the far left side. And when he came out on stage, we started talking. He wanted to see if I knew his language. And so he started talking. He'd go on the other side and go, and I'd go, and he'd go, and I go. And then he knew I was had listened to him and studied his playing. And he just got a big smile on his face. And we continued, to have that musical conversation for the next 10 minutes.
it's Neal Schon is with us here at the Q. Now, you were talking about being a kid in San Francisco and all of that. And, and Journey's been around almost half a century, but you were already famous before Journey. Do you have guitars that go back all the way to the Santana days?
I certainly do. And there's one in this heritage auction in particular it was a reissue 1968 gold top Les Paul with P90s on it. This is the guitar that I used all through the first Santana record, Santana 3, with Carlos and I trading off leads. And actually, it ended up being on our #1 single, Everybody's Everything, at that time. It was a song that we had Tower Power horns on. And I got to play lead guitar on it. And Carlos actually played bass and rhythm guitar on that track. And so that'll always be a staple for that guitar right there. And that is in this collection. And then, I used it for years after that. I traveled the world with Santana with that guitar. And I mean the world. We were everywhere. An amazing time in my life with that band being so incredible, and Carlos and Greg and everybody else. And then, later when that Santana band disbanded, Greg and I broke off and we started Journey. And then that guitar ended up being one of my main guitars for, I don't know, the first 3 records and all the early tours that we did.
Now, Don't Stop Believin'.
Yeah.
The guitar that was used to record Don't Stop Believin', is that part of the auction?
Yes, it is. It's actually
Whoa.
a cover
Whoa.
magazine that Heritage put together for me. And it is it was a 1968, I believe. I can't remember. I have so many guitars. I can't remember all the years without looking at them. But it was a Pro that I picked up at Don Weir's Music City. And I decided to experiment with it a bit back then, like I do with a lot of guitars. And the Floyd Rose tremolo system had just come out, and Eddie Van Halen was a good friend of mine. He was the first one to put one on his guitar, the Strat. And then I went, well, I'm going to try one of those. So I got a hold of Floyd, and I stuck one on a Stratocaster first, the tremolo system, the locking nut. And then I decided, well, you know what, I want to try something different. I want to try to put one on a Les Paul. And so this is the guitar that you're speaking of that I put the Floyd on. It was the first Les Paul to ever have a Floyd put on it. And it's funny because everybody thought that it was, it like, just, they were like, shh, what are you doing to that Les Paul? He chopped a giant hole in it. They felt like it was sacrilegious,
Mhm.
And I just wanted to try something different. And it ended up being my main guitar for many, many years. Worked so well. And it is the guitar I played on Don't Stop Believing. And
Well, you've had a gazillion hits, but Don't Stop Believing, we bring that up specifically because it's one of the most popular songs of the past century. It's the most downloaded song of the 20th century. And it just keeps popping back up to life again. I mean, there was The Sopranos, there was Glee. I mean, it's one of those songs that is loved by generation after generation after generation. And the thought that somebody is going to be able to get that guitar is, kind of unbelievable. Wouldn't you love to
Neal,
have that, Shelley? Wouldn't
do
you?
well, Neal, do you have any idea? Do you have any price in mind that you think that guitar could go for?
I have no clue. I mean, I've watched, I'm just learning, I just started learning about auctions a while ago. And the one that I paid attention to was the one that David Gilmour had done with Christie's. And it was really interesting when I looked at all his guitars and what they went for. And the one Strat that he had that was, I'm going to call it a mutt because it wasn't really an old vintage guitar. It was a Strat that he had put together that was a neck from another body, a newer body, different pickups. He kind of put bits and pieces from 3 or 4 different Stratocasters together to his liking, but he played it on tour a lot. And that guitar, like, I think went for like something like 23 million. I was like, wow, that's insane,
Well, which means we're not going to be able to afford to get the guitar that was
You
used.
think?
Don't Stop Believing, but somebody will. But the auction continues until July 31st. It's Heritage Auctions, and there are 112 guitars that are up for grabs. And of course, we will be seeing Neal and the rest of the band at the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Never Forget concert at Jones Beach. That will be on August 21st. Journey headlines with an amazing lineup. The Chainsmokers, Steve Miller Band with special guest Jesse Colin Young, John Fogerty, Ann Wilson of Heart, Lee Brice, Wyclef Jean, Gavin DeGraw. The list just goes on and on and on. And
the other thing nobody really knows right now, but I'm going to let it out of the box, is earlier that day we are playing Central Park as well. So we're playing with a large roster of people. They're excellent artists, and we get to play, I think, 2 or 3 songs, and then we jump on a helicopter and go out to Jones Beach to play that night. So it's going to be an eventful day.
And
you're going to be the Phil Collins of the day, like he was at Live Aid.
And the Jones Beach concert will then be recorded and will be broadcast on iHeart radio stations, including Q104.3 on September 11th. And that is really, really great that you're participating in both of those important concerts. And
we're also doing that iHeart show in Las Vegas.
Well, of course, it's the iHeartRadio Music Festival.
Yep, that's going to be a blast. I mean, I looked at all the great artists that are playing on that show, and I'm like, wow, are we lucky to be, in good company like that? And so we're looking forward to that. Definitely.
Well, Neal, you've been like on top of the world since you were a teenager. You've had quite a career,
I've
quite an
been
amazing
blessed.
career.
You know, I've been so blessed, and you know, I'm so happy that as a young kid, I sort of followed my heart and did what I wanted to do. You know, I hated high school. I wanted to play music, and I just followed my gut instinct and my heart, and I did that. And here I am still. I mean, been an amazing career, and it doesn't look like it's anywhere close to being over.
No, not even close. And as a matter of
Not good. No.
and right now, a Journey fan wins a pair of tickets if they're caller 25 at 888-872-1043 for the Never Forget concert hosted by Tunnel to Towers Foundation. That'll be Northwell Health at Jones Beach Theater. Tickets are on sale at livenation.com. So call us to win. And Neal, good luck to you with the auction. I wish I had 21 million laying around, but
I think he said 23.
We'll see where it goes. But this is the guitar, y'all.
Oh yeah, he's holding up a catalog right now, so I can see the picture of the guitar. So
Ah.
Neal, we'll see you on the 21st.
We'll be
great.
there with you. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you both.
Okay. Thank you so much.
New York's classic rock, Q1043.